So let's get started about business development. So before we start, actually, what do you consider like? How do you define business development? Bogdan, you want to go? Just speak randomly. You're just right there.
Uh, how how do I start with business development?
Yeah. So how do you define business development?
Development. Yeah. You need to have a plan, I think, right?
Hmm?
Then yeah, product and yeah, right group of a right how to say that group of people
Hmm.
to make that product and yeah, explore the the networking.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's in a common.
Cool. And Daria, how about you? How do you define business development?
I think I agree with Bogdan. For me, business development means exploring new marketing channels, for example, promotion channels, getting more customers. Maybe it's a bit of a direct sales channels as well. For example, looking for new ways how to expand the market.
Hmm.
I actually have been in business development for almost 9 years now. And it's always about looking for new channels, how we can sell more, how we can expand more, how we can get new partners, affiliates.
Hmm.
Yeah, I would say that this is the direction that I am more thinking about if I think about
Awesome.
development.
Cool. Yeah, I always love to ask everyone this question. Like, doesn't matter like with their background, because I find it really fascinating. Because the truth is that, I mean, first of all, like you were actually both right, and the truth is that business development is really just a complete mess. Like, it's really a mess. Like, there isn't really just one way to define it, right? And I know, like, I know, I was exactly there. So actually, one of the reasons why I started this company is because in 2017 I was working for a SaaS company, and at some point, like, I don't know, no matter what I was doing, it still didn't seem enough. I would just not be good enough. Like, results wouldn't come and so on. So I started being really frustrated, and I started looking for information online. And that's really where I realized that there wasn't really just one source of truth, and this was causing a lot of problems to me, but also to many other people that I met along the way. This is because, like, when we talk about business development, there is really a lot that goes into it. When I started getting really curious and, like, starting dissecting a little bit and researching a bit more, one thing that really caught my attention was the fact that there wasn't really one definition of business development, which was, of course, one of the things we worked on, like one of the first things we did. So the real problem with business development, in our opinion, is that the knowledge around this field is really not structured. It's really like everybody says their own opinion, and most of the times what you find online is not really accurate, is very superficial, and you can literally type what is business development. I know what you're going to find is an article of Forbes from 2016. It's still there. Maybe they updated it, but it's still there. But these articles, they're really short, and all they do is really tell you the job description of business development, but it doesn't really help you to actually do it. And that's why then at the point, when we figured out this data and we surveyed just in the first year about 1,000 people, we figured out that the big majority actually didn't really know what they were doing. So on one end, I felt really good about myself because it wasn't only me, but it was like most of us. So I was happy about that. But then the other big problem was that most of the people never received formal training. And then it wasn't a surprise that 53% of business developers, or like people that work in business development, struggle to reach their target. And I'm a proud representative of this last number, of course. But then I learned along the way. So how do we decide to tackle this? Because then I was like, okay, but maybe we should do something. And I'm really passionate about education, knowledge, and really like personal development, and making sure that people have the right tools to improve and create great careers and great companies. So we created the first educational platform entirely dedicated to business development. And we have an ambition vision, which is to create the next generation of business developers and founders using the power of knowledge, which for me really means having people that know what they're doing, if we have to simplify our vision. How do we do it? Well, we have a series of what we call this our learning stack, which is our community, our courses, which we do for founders and business developers. We also have a mentorship platform and events just like this one to really share knowledge and keep, evolving the field of business development together, because well, we're going to see it's going to be very interactive. Enough for the BD school for now. Let's get into the topic of today, which is okay, great. So now we know more or less what business development is. We're going to discover in a minute how we define it, but great, how do we structure it? So what do we really need to do to make sure that we can keep finding these growth opportunities for the company? So the way we define business development is really like all the tasks, processes that you can think of that are meant to develop growth opportunities in a sustainable and profitable way. And I think like I always like to put the focus into this sustainable and profitable way, because whenever you're thinking about, okay, how do I grow my company? Like now I have this product I want to make. I want to help people with dynamic documents, or I want to create personalized probiotics. Okay, that's great. You have like 1,000 ways to grow the company. Basically, you can take any possible direction, and I know it's confusing. I was there, but after I started really understanding more about business development, I really realized that actually the only thing I need to be focused on is activities that are sustainable, in the sense that if I repeat these same activities within 3 years, 5 years from now, they still bring me results. That's why, for example, I tend to focus a lot on building relations with people, because I think that's the most sustainable thing you can do for a business. Now, of course, this definition is still very generic, because of course, well, tasks and processes. Thank you, Lucia. What do you mean? So what we really need to see here, and how we can, get a little bit deeper into understanding business development, is understanding the goal. Why do we do business development? Well, we do it to create long-term value for our company. And long-term value comes from activities that are sustainable, again, which means that if we repeat them like 5 years from now, they still bring us results and they still help us grow the company. Um, and that's why also, like, for me, business development is not only sales, is not only about like getting the customer for that specific thing you're having right now, but it's really about building relations with people, creating an ecosystem, and so on. And we're going to see in a minute how we can do that. So do you have some questions so far, or maybe like anything else you want to add on top of that? No, that's good. I take it as a good sign, I guess. So let's talk about the business development process. So how can we come up with ideas, to grow the company? Because at the end of the day, we need to make sure that we do that. So how can we do that is basically by breaking down our business development process in two major parts, right? The first one is a research part. And I'm happy that many of you are actually in this research phase, or, they're in the initial stages of the company, because I really hope this session is going to inspire you to take this first part very seriously, because that's really what is gonna, like, this is one of the most sustainable things you can do for your business, is researching and understanding your ecosystem. And when I talk about ecosystem, again, I'm not talking only about the customers, but I'm talking about your competitors, your market, about potential partners, influential people in your sphere, and so on. So really anyone, any stakeholder that can help you grow the company. So first part is all about research. The second part then is, okay, now that we did all this research, we have all this data, like reliable or not, but once that we have this data, what do we do with this data? Well, the three main things that we should be doing is creating solid value propositions that basically are going to help us position our company with our potential customers, creating a content plan that supports, everything we're claiming about our business, how cool we are. Well, people should read about it or see some videos about that. And then the last one is about experimenting. Now, why it's important to do these things, because in business development, actually, or I mean, we're all entrepreneurs here. I mean, as entrepreneurs, the only thing we really need to become good at is to gaining the trust of the people that work in our ecosystem. So we need to be credible people. How can we be credible if we really know absolutely everything about our ecosystem, or at least we're able to give that image of us, as people that, they really know what they're talking about. I don't think it's our case. I think we all know what we're talking about, but I've seen a lot of companies that literally after 10 years, they never did customer research. So they actually just don't know what their customers want. You wing it because you can, because that's the other truth, like you actually can wing pretty much everything in business, as long as you're a good talker, like you can do that. But the problem is if you miss these steps, it's gonna work for a while and then it's not gonna work anymore. My biggest problem when I was working at Recruited, which is really well, luckily I worked there because then it brought the BD school, but back then was really not fun because I was sending 1,000 emails per month to 1,000 different companies, and nobody seemed to need the recruitment software. And I was like, how is that? My main problem was I didn't know my customers because we never did customer research. And then my boss told me, oh no, but we know our customers. So fair enough. So these two parts, research and action. So we're gonna do this. So I'm just gonna give you some, insights or ideas for thought, basically, and then I want to hear your opinion as well. So I will ask you some questions just to test a little bit the water and see which ones of these steps you already took. So first thing we want to do in business development, in the business development process, is really mapping out our ecosystem, which is this part of research, which includes, of course, market research, competitor analysis, customer research, very important, and then stakeholder analysis. By stakeholder analysis, I mean, again, all these people, organizations, institutions that can help your business grow, right? So let's see, for example, Daria, because at the moment you're doing some research already, I understand. So that's good. And you're also looking for potential co-founders. Maybe there is someone here interested. Who knows? Just throw it there. So when you think about, your potential customers, for your company, like what type of individuals or organizations come to your mind?
I'm sorry to say, was that the question for me? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I actually also had a question for you, and I typed it in the chat, but I can also ask now. Yeah, like it's a good point regarding the business development, and I also have been working in that. So you need to define the profile of the ideal customer. I think it's actually called that, the ideal customer profile. Yeah, like for us, whenever I start working with a new company, let's say, because I was working a lot in sourcing and now I also do some business development for an IT company. So what I do is that I ask owners of the company, I ask colleagues as much as possible, as you've rightly said, like what would their ideal customer be, and then I try to define like the profiles of similar companies. We actually use a software called ocean.io. This is a very nice software that defines, that can search similar companies, like lookalike companies. You enter your ideal customer, and then it can, list companies that are similar based on the artificial intelligence algorithm. So it analyzes a lot of factors to understand that those companies are similar as yours. And yeah, like for example, these tools, of course, we obviously utilize, as well as I just search on, I don't remember, what was it? It was something like, what was the website? Something like Trustpilot, but similar website, and also basically list similar profiles of the company. I mean, yeah, we, of course, yeah, we do quite a lot of homework before we start emailing, before we start approaching customers. We try our best to define who our target audience is. And this is a good, of course, point that you made, that you cannot just like email to anybody. And
but in terms of like, the people within these companies that buy your services, like who are they? Can you make a quick description of your ideal customers?
Yeah, so for example, the platform that I'm currently developing, so we look for importing companies. So those
Mm-hmm.
are just companies that do usually B2B in their own countries, but
Mm-hmm.
they import from Asia. So they import from China, from India. And how we search for them, we sometimes scrape Canton Fair, like it's a
Mm-hmm.
big show in China. We scrape those visitors and we try to identify the profile
Mm-hmm.
of that company. Just like if they have marketplace, like digital marketplace, which
Mm-hmm.
means are traders and they are
Yeah.
interested in the um, in the in the imports. Yeah, I see the chat that yeah, it's
Good.
ocean. So this
Nice.
is how I would
Cool.
like.
And in terms of like in terms of the people that you reach out, what type of people they are, like what do they care about? How do you approach them?
You mean like the customers?
Yeah.
So we usually reach out to them saying, first we ask them actually about their sourcing, about how they
Mm-hmm.
do it right now. So in order to make them think about those problems, that
Mm-hmm.
not us saying that, hey, you might have those problems. We don't do it. We usually ask what kind of problems they have first. And then follow up, we say that, okay, we can solve your problems because it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't make sense to offer the client everything, everything, everything. We try to be as narrow as possible regarding their specific needs and talk about their specific needs rather than just offering a lot without any.
Awesome. That's great. That's also exactly my approach as well. Like, I never approach anyone saying, hey, we can do this for you or you
Yeah.
have this problem. Literally, I've been contacted like so many times by companies, especially software development companies that come to me and there's like, hey, your website is so outdated. Your design is so outdated. I'm like, what if I like an outdated website? Sorry. So the point indeed of doing this research is really to make sure that you don't make these mistakes, but just like Daria, you go after the right people that you know that you could help, but you don't assume that you can help. Like, of course, when you contact them, you have a goal because, well, you know that you could help them. But the first step is really to understand absolutely everything about the ecosystem you're in it. And they go even as far as saying that when it comes to a stakeholder research, which includes not only the customers, but partners or internal stakeholders. So if you have a co-founder or if you have like your team and so on, you should go one level deeper and really focus on the psychology of your stakeholders. So not only like really what they are trying to achieve, but really how this thing makes them feel. Because once you crack that, that's really when you can really connect with your audience, with your market, with your ecosystem, and that's really where people are going to start seeing you as an expert, as someone that can solve their problem. But you can only reach this level of credibility if you really spend a lot of time in research. And I know that I'm boring you with the research, but that's really, really, really important. Cool. Do you have any questions, everyone? Cool. Let's move on then to the next one. So the next step, so after we collected all this information about our ecosystem, the next thing we should be doing, as especially as founders, is building value propositions. Why the value propositions? Because once we know, okay, we have this great idea, I was like, great, I'm gonna make this software, it's gonna solve the, I don't know, hunger in the world, it's amazing, like everybody's gonna be happy after that. Great, that's what we think we can do. And then we research the market and the ecosystem and we see that there is still an opportunity. Great. But how do we position ourselves in this ecosystem, right? So what is really the value that we deliver to the people? Like, and how can we figure that out? So the way to figure that out, and by the way, I recommend you read a book called Value Proposition Designs from Strategizer. Super practical, very, very insightful. There are a lot of frameworks and so on. And it really explains in detail how to build value propositions. But very shortly, so why it's important, like what are these value propositions, is really just like a very simple way to help the customer understand how you can help them. nothing like more than that. It's really just a sentence, which seems very simple, but it takes a bit of reiteration before you have something you're happy with. So how can you create this value proposition? So the first thing you need to think is really like think like your customers, right? So what is it that your customers are trying to achieve? For example, like Bogdan, in your case, so you're developing a product which is something with dynamic documents, right?
That's true. Yeah, that's
Awesome.
correct.
Perfect. So what type of customers would you like to reach out to?
I have where I'm working right now on CBR. Do you know that?
Yeah.
Now, in that company, I'm working as a freelance developer, but I see a lot of problems that they have, and yeah, that's one use. That's a good use case that I can, yeah, where I can put that product. So
Cool.
yeah, that's a one case, but there will be also the hospitals, the banking, all those people of all those companies who work with the documents with a lot of reusable texts and that kind of stuff.
Okay, cool.
Like
So
CC, yeah, okay.
perfect. That's good. I think we all have a bit of context so we can a bit understand. So if you think about the people that you're going to reach out to at the hospital, for example, like what is their main responsibility? Like why would they need, your software? Like what are they trying to do in their job?
Why they need that product?
Yeah, exactly. So what is their job about? Like they probably need to sign documents, I guess. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah. What I think is more to do to have less problems in. I mean the error prone in the texts. Or yeah, because what I see is also there's a lot of CBR texts like they are generated, but they are just static and not that good. How to mean it sampled, and yeah, the other stuff is you want to have a quality documents, and you want to have a the product that is not how to say that yeah, where you can now I'm just a bit focused on the other
I mean,
stuff.
that's
Sorry.
normal. That's really normal. Like honestly, like I think I really got good value propositions after like now that we
Yeah.
redid it for the third time after 3 years. So it's like it's normal.
Okay. So that's
Cool.
it.
So let's see, like when we think about the job to be done. So an example that I can come up with, for example, is a lawyer, right? So as a lawyer, let's say you're a corporate lawyer, and you need to send out all these documents to your colleagues and then to the investors and so on. So your job is to produce these documents, make sure that you get the signature from the CEO, and then you can process these documents, right? So when we think about job to be done, we need to think about, okay, what is literally the job of this person, of this customer? Like what are they trying to what are their responsibilities? And that is really, like, I think the easiest piece of information to find, because of course, well, I mean, a lawyer, yeah, that's what they do. Doctors, that's what they do. Like you can use your intuition, you can look online. Ideally you ask them, because that's the best thing to do all the time. The second element then of the value proposition is the pain point. So what is it that really stresses out this person? Like, oh, if I'm a lawyer, like every time I need to send the email to the CEO, and then the CEO has to download the document, and then because he doesn't have I don't know, Google, like Microsoft Doc or Word, it's always messed up, and then I need to redo it again. It's a mess, right? It's really a pain, because then, like, what does it mean for the lawyer? The lawyer needs to stay longer in the office to remake that stupid document, and that is the pain point. The lawyer wants to go home and watch football on TV. He doesn't want to be in the office trying to fix this document, right? So the pain point is not only the fact that, you know, it's a back and forth and it's a waste of time, but on a personal level, this person needs to stay overtime to create this document. So pain point. And again, this, how can we figure that out? With the research of before. So once we have the research, then we can just copy basically everything they told us and we put it in the value proposition framework, and that's easy. Now, once we have these two pieces of element, we also need to ask ourselves, or we ask the customers, like, okay, great, what could help you, to feel better in your job, to be happy again? And maybe someone will say, I don't know, like maybe a tool or something, I don't know, just a way to just sign automatically or something like that without people downloading. I don't know, they will come up probably with some ideas of how they could solve their pain point. Now, our job, once we know like what's the responsibility and then what's the pain point and what could help them to solve this pain point, we need to bridge our offers. So we need to put the two things together and say, okay, great. Look, lawyers, stop wasting your time sending these documents back and forth, and then you have to remake them all. Use my software, because my software is going to save you time and is going to make your document look beautiful. I don't know. One value proposition could be your documents will look beautiful. Your documents, you waste less time. You reduce the mistakes and so on. All these, they're all value proposition, which means like, what can this product or service do for you to make your life easy? And of course, the beauty of it is we need to make it simple. Like ideally, people should come to us and say, "Oh, these are the people of the documents. These are the people of the probiotics. Oh, with these probiotics, they help my immune system so that I don't die of COVID." I don't know. Very dark joke, but I mean, I think it fits considering the times. So once we have the research, building value propositions is really easy because literally all you do is copy the voice of customers. So really copy what the customers tell you or your stakeholders, because again, like value proposition is not something that you do only with your customer. You do it with your team members. Like, why do you work here? Because it's great. We offer you like, I don't know, snacks and Friday drinks and growth opportunities and trips and so on. These are all value propositions, right? Like we give people a reason to do whatever we want them to do, right? So that's in brief. Do you have some questions? Cool. Hey, Julie,
No,
how are
not.
you? Nice to see you. Cool. So value propositions. Next up then, so once we have these value propositions, well, great. I mean, it's not that we can keep them for ourselves, right? And that seems stupid. It seems very stupid, but that's actually a mistake that many startup founders do. I'm not immune of it. Like, especially at the beginning, for me, was really difficult. First, to create a value proposition. Second, to make sure that people would see them. I mean, I knew on which channels we should be, but I felt like we were not really communicating effectively. Because, of course, so once we did all this job and all this research, and we really invested so much time into our company because we really want to help these people, well, we need to make sure that all this desk research job that we did, we put it out there. So we need to come up with an action plan. In this action plan, the few things we need to always put is, of course, our channel. So Daria was mentioning it before when I asked her about the definition of business development. So you need to pick channels. So you need to say, okay, I ask my customers all these questions. I know that there is this institution that can help me with, I don't know, gain more credibility for my probiotics. I know that there is a CBR that can help me, can be a first customer. Maybe they can, help me to get the voice out there and get some credibility. But where are all these people? Where do they hang out? Now, when we think about where do they hang out, again, it's not only the customers, but we need to think, okay, I need for my business. So, for example, if you're looking for funding, what do you need? You need investors. Maybe you need some institutions that can give you money. Maybe the government. I don't know, can be anything else. And maybe you need some newspapers because you want people to know that you're doing something great, and you want to attract like the interest of people. Where are all these people hanging out? Well, there would be a few places where they will be, right? So for example, in my case, my best channel is LinkedIn. Why is that? Because all the business developers are there. They all use it for work. So that's great. They hang out a lot on LinkedIn. Their bosses are there. So that's great because then I can talk to them as well. And all the other people that I'm interested in, investors, universities, co-working spaces, everybody is on LinkedIn. So for me, LinkedIn is the best channel, not only because they're my customers, but because my entire ecosystem converges there. Then, of course, we use Instagram, for example, and we use emails, and we use one-to-one relations. So we use a lot of different things, but we need to choose as a first thing, like the channels. Actually, at the very, very beginning, I recommend one channel, which helps us to maximize the impact that we want to have on our market. So if we know that most of the ecosystem is in on LinkedIn, we should be on LinkedIn. After that, we need to gain credibility, right? So business developers and founders, I mean, we have one job, one main job, which is getting people excited about what we have to offer, right? So we want to make sure that people understand what we're doing, that they're excited, and they see, oh, I really want to talk to Bogdan because he's really the go-to person. I want to talk with Julie because I really want to create this company in the Netherlands and I don't know how to, but she knows, so I can go to her. Or I don't know, I'm thinking about having personalized probiotics and Vim knows everything about it. So maybe you can give me some advice, right? So we want to make sure that we gain credibility. How can we do that? Well, we do it if we talk about stuff. And I know that at the beginning it's a bit a challenge because we don't want to be, what if I write something stupid? And what if my friends see that and then they think, that I'm pretending? And what if my boss sees what I'm posting and so on? So we put ourselves a lot of problems. I know I've been there too. But the truth is, it's our job, right? So we need to make sure that people actually see what we're doing. So we need a content plan. By content plan, it doesn't mean that suddenly you need to become the journalists or like, you need to write a book or something. No, not at all. I mean, most of us are not writers or journalists, and that's okay. But we all have a specialty, right? We all are excited about what we're doing. We all know really, really in depth what we're doing because, I mean, we're working on it every day. So hopefully we know what we're talking about. So we can write a post, we can share an article, we can share a video. So we don't even need to write stuff ourselves. We want to make sure that when people come to see us, because like want it or not, everyone is gonna check you online. Like the moment they see, oh yeah, no, you should talk to Sangeet or you should talk to Julie, they're gonna check you. So the moment they check you, make sure that they see only good things about you. So create a content plan. So the best way to do it is select a few topics that are really dear to your audience and that of course you care a lot about. So if you know, again, pain points is a great way to start creating content. So if you know that the lawyer, I really don't like lawyers, it seems. It's not true. I do. But if you know that the lawyer is complaining because for the 10th time he needs to remake this document, you could write a post saying, oh my God, again, today I had to get back and remake this document. And this has been for the last 5 years. So I'm so done with it that I decided to create the software for it. So if you have the same problem, let me know because I can help you. If you do that, people are going to say, oh, yes, yeah, oh, God, I didn't think of it. Yeah, it's really a pain, like, yeah, sure. Oh, this guy is right. Let me talk to him. So if you do that, yeah, again, you build credibility. Then the next thing is, of course, you need to come up with new ideas to grow your business, which is okay. Well, once we know, like we have the channels and so on, perfect. How do I want to activate this ecosystem? How do I want to reach out to my audience? And there you can just, come up with all the crazy ideas that come to your mind. You really have no limits in that sense. So say, hey, I think we should put a billboard in front of Rotterdam station because everybody's going to see it. Sure, it's a good idea. but we need the money for that. But that's okay. We can just come up with all these ideas and start, like just jotting down all the possible things that come to our mind. So the more creative you get, the better it is, because eventually, like, you want to stand out, right? So you don't want to be just another software. You don't want to be just another personalized probiotics company, which I don't know if they exist, Pim. So I'm not sure. I'm just great. So you're unique. That's perfect. You already have a unique selling point. But really thinking about all the ways that, people can, reach out to you. And the more creative you are, the better it is, because you become more unique, more memorable. And that's really what people are looking for. And then, of course, as a last step in the action plan, you need to prioritize these ideas, because not everything is going to be a great idea. We all have to be realistic. So here, my advice is always focus for, try to see what is the most valuable for you at the moment. If you're just starting, the most valuable thing for you, it's going to be getting feedback from customers. So doing a survey, asking them what they want, how they want your software to look like, what problems they have in relations to probiotics or anything else, right? Julie did that actually on LinkedIn a few months ago, like when she was starting working on this course on how to start a business in the Netherlands. She asked people on LinkedIn, like, what are your problems when starting in a business in the Netherlands, right? Is it the language? I remember I contributed to the post as well. That's great, because we want to focus on the most valuable thing for now. So try to look critically at your business. Make a selection. You can do everything possibly, so try to focus on what is going to bring you results now. For example, for me, at the BD school at the beginning was really this thing, getting feedback and try to gather as much knowledge as possible about business development. But now, 3 years later, of course, the most valuable thing now is to find new customers that can, of course, help us grow the business, but also that can help us improve everything we do, because again, like, it's continuous progress. So once we have this action plan, and let me see, we have 10 more minutes. I'm very happy that I'm on time. Great. As I saw, Laura is looking at me.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask.
No worries.
There's also a couple of questions in the chat box being posed, so I just want to
Yeah.
make sure that everyone gets your attention.
No worries. It's actually, there is just one last slide and then there's a Q&A.
Awesome.
So I'm going to go through that. So last step of the business development process is, okay, great, research and action plan and everything else. Perfect. But what do we do next? Well, we need to measure and analyze everything, right? So when we come up with the experiment already, we need to look at the data. We need to observe the competitors and so on. We need to analyze the trends so that we can gather more ideas. But once we start working, we need to make sure that we track absolutely everything. Everything we do, we should really take it as a project on its own. So we need to make sure that, okay, I think that the billboard in front of the station is going to bring us customers. Is it? Let's see. When you like when you track it, you say, okay, there are like 10,000 people passing by there every week. Of these 10,000, only 2,000 look up because they're all looking at the phone. And I don't know, I can put the QR code in there so that I can measure how many people come. So we need to track what we're doing. We need to make sure that all the stakeholders involved are, taken into account. So if your idea is the billboard, well, maybe the marketing team needs to be involved, or maybe a freelancer or a company that can do it for you. So you need to make sure that you involve the people that are going to help you in that specific activity, because you want to make sure that everyone is aligned. And then you want to focus on activities that really bring you the highest impact. So if you know that participating to an event with 20 people gives you 5 new customers or 5 new partners or 5 new relevant connections, do that, because probably the billboard is not going to get you the same results at the beginning. So try to focus on really things that bring you the highest impact on the short term, but that you can also see yourself doing in a few years. And then the last thing is, and notice that I put this really at the end. So I think Daria probably is at the older stage of the company, at least the one she's working on now. Personally, I always prefer to automate everything at a later stage, so not at the beginning, because I think you really need to grow into the knowledge of your ecosystem. And to do that, the only way you have is really to get your hands dirty. So only automate or delegate to someone after you try things yourself, because you don't want to end up wasting your money. I did that mistake. Like once I just hired this freelancer for marketing. He did some campaigns. It was like a waste of money and especially my time. So do it yourself first and then automate and delegate. So this was the entire business development process is in under 1 hour. So I'm very proud that I managed to go through that so quickly. And now we have Q&A. So I'm going to open the chat and let's see what we have here. Okay, so strategizer, perfect. What openings mail on LinkedIn work best? Okay, so for me on LinkedIn, not only on LinkedIn, but also when I send emails, what works all the time is a very generic message. Generic in the sense like I don't ask for anything. Like I don't ask like, oh, let's have a call on this day. I just find something that I'm genuinely interested in about that person or that company, and I lead with that, leading by curiosity, right? If I find something that is really interesting about that person, that's the first thing I'm going to mention. And I could say something like along this line, Vim, like if I see that you're doing these new things like personalized probiotics, I would tell you, oh, Vim, that's really a great idea. I've actually been struggling with my immune system lately. So it's cool, that I have the option to personalize that. I would really like to get in touch and know more about what you're doing. I'm sure that you would accept my request. I'm going to try after. I'm going to send you the message and see if you accept me. But
Yeah, makes
something
sense. Nice. Yeah.
something like this actually, I'm not sure if it was recorded, but a couple of months ago we did a session here at Venture Cafe about lead generation, and I shared also some screenshots of emails that I send out, and I only put the emails that brought me business, of course, but it was really along these lines. Like first sentence is all about the person, or about like how cool is what they're doing, because I'm genuinely interested. And then like if it's an email, I like to say something about us, something that relates to them. For example, hey, we share the same values. I think we should just get to know each other if you have time. And that's it. And then people usually they're curious. And then again, we always go back to the point of before. Make sure that then when people check you out, then they, whatever you claim in your email or whatever you say in your email, they should be able to see it everywhere else. So if they type your name, they should see Wim de Jong personalized probiotics. Cool. So for content sharing platform for a group of customers, what do you mean precisely, Wim?
Well, I got some answers, right? So basically, if you we talk to a lot of doctors and we want to share content, but kind of in a private surroundings. Of course, we could use LinkedIn, but what else could we do? So I've seen like 4 options, which I'm going to explore.
Nice, cool. Yeah, because I mean, at the end of the day, it really depends on your audience, right? So, for example, doctors, I think most of the doctors probably use like maybe magazines or something like that. So, rather than, looking for something very like modern or very, advanced, I would rather be like write an article for a magazine that doctors read. So in this sense, when you think about, like which platforms, content and so on, like always think, where is my audience?
Yeah.
Cool. Bogdan, is there a time when I can post something on LinkedIn? I mean, can I post content? Yes. Even if it's not finished, absolutely, totally. So you are interested in the topic anyway, so that is not gonna come after you make the product. You're interested in that already. You're working to fix this problem. Actually, the sooner you do it, the better, because then you really build up, your credibility. I started like connecting with business developers already in 2017, at the beginning of 2017, when I wanted to learn from them. And then I started to write about business development also around that time, when the BD school wasn't even in my head yet. I mean, not as it is now. There was something. Cool.
Okay.
Perfect. So, oh yeah, I see here Hootsuite. Yeah, Hootsuite, yeah, but it's more like automation for, to post on social media. And Lempot, I actually didn't try it myself, but yeah, it's more like to interact, right, Daria? It's like to increase interactions with people.
Yeah,
Cool.
I also believe so. I actually also just explored it. I haven't tried it yet myself.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
but
don't know.
they also like to interact, right? And they also use this kind of new media, so it might still be relevant. Let's have a look. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And then again, it all comes down to where is my audience. Like when I was
Yeah.
working at Housing Anywhere, for example, like my main stakeholders were universities, and those universities, there was just no way you could find them online, especially like in 2014, 2015, like LinkedIn was not as used as it is now. So the only way we had to be in touch with them was in conferences. So we were going to these huge conferences and then just calling them, and they always pick up the phone though, so that is good. They're always very close to the phone. I think they're waiting for people to call them. Cool. Do you have other questions?
I have a short question.
Cool.
Do I need to register in KVK my company or startup right now or later on, or how it works?
What I would recommend is to do it after, once you have customers, because you really need the VAT to invoice people. So until you have customers, I would recommend not to do it, because it's more of a pain in the ass, because then you have to do the VAT every 3 months. So, and if you don't invoice anyone yet, you can wait. So personally, I did it when I had my first customer, actually when I needed to get the money from my first customer. So after I worked like for a month, I was like, oh wait, but you need to pay me now. So how do we do this?
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, good one. And next week, actually, we have someone joining from the Chamber of Commerce, Baktam, in our program. So you can sign up to just pose your questions. Yeah, it's available between 4 and 5 p.m. for any question you may have.
Yeah, sure. I will join next week.
Yeah, and also like maybe you can get in touch with Julie after, because that's also what they're doing. So maybe she can help you out as well. And everyone, just the last thing. So we have a course on business development. It's a live training, and since you're here today, if you want, you get a 10% discount with the code TBDS21. So you can just go to our website, thebdschool.com, and you get 10% discount if you do it within a week.